Well, hello my friends, and welcome to another brand new episode of Dunswell Zoo. My name is JW, of course. Today we are building for a South American deer. It's one of only two deer that live in the Hippocamelus genus, if I remembered that correctly. If you do hear like a whizzing noise in the background, that is the fan. Not a person, not a fan of me. It's a fan that keeps you cool because it's ridiculously warm in the UK when I am recording this voiceover. So I'll address the elephant in the room. So previously I've referred to this area as being for the Huemul or the Huemul, and it's actually pronounced Huemul. So the H-U-E is pronounced as in W-A-Y, so way. And then the M-U-L is pronounced M-O-O-L, so it's the Huemul. Or you can also call it the South Andean Deer, which is a much easier thing to say. So it's a very different episode this time. We already had the sort of layout of this area done for us. It's been done for a very long time, and this habitat has been sat empty for a very long time. So I'm glad we're finally able to get the Huemul into this habitat. And so they're not really a thing in captivity at all. So a lot of this habitat is based on their natural habitat, and then loosely sort of involving elements from other hoofstock habitats for similar species. So the Huemul is endangered, unfortunately, and it's a mid-sized deer that can be found in the high mountainsides and cold valleys of the Andes. The distribution and habitat, as well as the diet of the deer, have been the subject of the study, and the viability of small remaining populations is an outstanding concern to researchers. And just diverting a little bit. This waterfall that I'm putting in now, you can see on the screen, it is a blueprint. I haven't built it. It's from the Steam Workshop. I cannot remember the name of the person who did build it, so I do seriously apologise for that. But I've used it a couple of times, and I really like the sort of overgrown nature of it, and it really fits the Andes sort of theming quite well. At least I think so anyway. So what we've done here is to get the Huemul, I've done it again, is to get the Huemul into Dunswell Zoo. We've worked alongside our conservation partners out in South America, and we've got some what have been identified as genetically important and have either been injured or become habituated. So we've transferred them to the zoo in the hopes that they'll breed and we can get a captive population going. So the habitats that the Huemul, I've done it again, the habitats that the Huemul can be found in are periglacial scrublands, low bluffs and other rocky areas, as well as forest borders and upland forests. So I've tried to incorporate a lot of that into this habitat. And then there's a particular study that's taken place on a coastal fjord population, which found that males and juveniles preferred periglacial grasslands, whereas females preferred bluffs and fawns almost exclusively preferred bluffs. It was previously found over much of southwest South America, but the current status is critical. Numbers in Argentina as of 2005, which is quite an old set of data admittedly, were only estimated at between 350 to 600 individuals, and they are in fragmented groups. Argentinian national authorities have been criticised for calling the species situation satisfactory, whereas the research shows declining numbers. Further research on habitat viability and conservation centres have been advised. The main pressures for the Huemul are invasive species and economic activities. The primary predator is the cougar. Increased morbidity. Yeah, that's the word. Increased morbidity is affecting the population in Argentina, as is decreased production rates. The introduced red deer causes displacement of the smaller Huemul to marginalised areas, which leads to that increased vulnerability. According to the IUCN, the original global population of this species has suffered a reduction of 99% in size and more than a 50% reduction in distribution. The species is listed as endangered, with habitat fragmentation and poaching being the major threats to the species. And that's basically it. There isn't an awful lot of information about this species, unfortunately. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you about the Huemul at this point in the video. They're not in captivity, sort of, at all, as far as I'm aware. They have been in the past, but are now no longer. And yeah, it's just a really, really sad situation. And I think we should do everything we can, as with any animal, to protect them and ensure that these animals are around in the future. But not just the animals themselves, but their habitats too. Which is sort of a nice segue into what you're seeing on screen now. So I've got two variants of patches of grass to put down. One's got some longer grass in, and the other one's got some rocks in. And just putting these down sort of randomly and sinking some of them in, some of them not so far, just to sort of give it a bit of variation. We're using a fair few different colours in this habitat. We're using yellows, browns and greens. I've got some drin grass going in there, which I've not used for a little while. We've got the buffalo grass, which I think is every Planet Zoo player's favourite plant in the game. And of course, I've got some faux rocks as well. And then in the other variation, I believe I used the Yorkshire foggrass going in here as well. In the other variation, the same grasses, but also blue stem grass in a couple of different colours as well. You've got the normal one and then the dry one. So yeah, it was a really straightforward habitat, to be honest. The worst part of building this was the indoor section, which is coming up shortly. That was the worst part of the build. Everything else was sort of relatively straightforward. You know, it was just copying and pasting. Like you see in here with the blue stem grass, what's going in, and then the buffalo grass. It was just a lot of that, and getting it to fit the landscape and making sure it had the look that I wanted it to have. We do put a few bushes in as well. There's some, I always get this name wrong, polyepsis trees sunk in as bushes, and we get some saltwater bushes in there as well, and there's some holly as well. I think we're about to flick to the indoor section now. Yeah, this was a nightmare. So I should have put some of the plants in last, because the hitbox for some of the plants is ridiculous, much like it is for some of the animals. So all I'm doing is a simple renovation for this indoor area. So we're flattening it all out, and then I wanted to create some stalls so that we can section off some of the deer if need be. Just for sort of realism purposes, if nothing else. And yeah, sometimes, I mean most of the time, I love the free build mod, but there are some times when it plays up, and this is one of those times. So the grids weren't aligning, and the position snap wasn't working properly, and there were all sorts of issues lining up, and that's what made this part the worst part. It was the hitboxes of some of the plants outside, and then getting everything to sit straight inside was just mind-numbingly frustrating. So while we're here, when I was recording this, the actual footage The Asia Animal Pack was announced, and we now know all of the animals that are going to be in this pack. So we've got the nilgai, the black buck, the Japanese raccoon dog, the Bornean pygmy elephant, and the honey badger, and there's one I'm missing. Nilgai, black buck, elephant, honey badger, raccoon dog, and the lion-tailed macaque. There we go, those are the 6. They all look absolutely fantastic from what we've seen so far. I mean, at the point of recording this voiceover, we've seen stills of the nilgai, the raccoon dog, which looks absolutely amazing, and the honey badger. I have absolutely no doubt that the other animals will look equally as amazing. I did put some posts out on Instagram. I'm not 100% sure if I put them out on Facebook. Not Facebook, bloody hell. I'm not 100% sure if I put them out on YouTube or not. Let's have a look. Did I put it out on YouTube as well? Yes, I did. So Dunswell Zoo is only getting 3 of the new animals. So we're going to have the Pear David's deer, the lion-tailed macaque, and the Borneo pygmy elephant. Those 3 animals will be having a home here in Dunswell Zoo. Eastlake is getting the most out of this pack because that's getting all 6 of the new sorry, not all 6. It's getting 6 of the 7 new animals from the Asia Animal Pack. So it's getting the Pear David's deer, the honey badger, the Japanese raccoon dog, the lion-tailed macaque, the black buck, and the nilgai. But it's also going to have the free animal we're getting with the next update, which is the Malabar rose butterfly, and that'll just be getting added to the butterfly house. And that's basically all the Planet Zoo news that we have so far. We are getting some brand new pieces as well in this pack, and again, from what we've seen, it looks absolutely amazing. I think they've really knocked it out of the park this time. You know, the America's Animal Pack was a bit sort of Marmite-ish. People either loved it or they hated it. This one, I think everyone is absolutely on board with everything except for the elephant. That's like a point of contention for a lot of people. But to be fair, the sort of battle around the elephant is ongoing in terms of, is it a separate species, is it just a subspecies, is it a population? It's sort of still going on. Nonetheless, it is endangered, and it's got more than 50% decline over the past 60 to 75 years. Yeah, it just says here that Borneo elephants more likely derived from Sundaic stock and are indigenous to Borneo rather than having been introduced by humans. The genetic divergence of Borneo elephants warrants their recognition as a separate evolutionary significant unit. So as far as I'm concerned, that's more than enough reason for them to be included. So we will be having the Borneo elephant in Dunswell Zoo. We were also going to have the Indian elephant, but we are running out of space in the zoo, unfortunately, and we've still got an awful lot of animals to provide homes for. So I'm not 100% sure yet if we're going to have both the Asian elephants or if we're only going to have the Borneo pygmy elephant. But I'm really excited for the new pack. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to building habitats for the animals. Looking forward to seeing them in game. Looking forward to getting to play with new pieces. Really liking that Planet Zoo's continued. There was a lot of fear that you know, oh, the next pack's the last one, and it's been like that for the past sort of 4 packs now. So I'm glad it's not. And you can see here that I'm actually using some of the pieces from the America's Animal Pack to create these sort of stall areas that can be separated off if any of the deer need to be separated. It also just gives them a little bit of privacy as well from each other if they want it. And then just put in some habitat bedding down, normal standard stuff. And we do put a bit of enrichment in here as well, just because it would be something you'd probably do. You'd add something in here. A bit of terrain painting as well. You saw a little bit of that at the beginning. It's not often you see me do terrain painting. And then this was rather annoying, so I'd finished all that and discovered that the terrain was poking out of the side after flattening in it. So I now have to cover that with rocks, which it's fine. It's not something I planned for, but it's fine. But yeah, it was pretty straightforward habitat, to be honest. The next habitat that you'll be seeing in Dunswell Zoo will be for the woolly-tailed monkey. It will be the final habitat in the Adventure Andes area, and then there will be a tour. With the next DLC being imminently upon us, I will be switching back to East Lake, but of course there's no East Lake videos for a while until I get it back up to scratch, and then once all the mods have sort of been verified to be working, we'll go from there. Back into Dunswell Zoo. So we're now here with our Huemul in the finished habitat, and I really like how it looks. They've got a really big habitat. They can have a maximum of 10 members, I think it is. And they're all sort of enjoying walking around here. You get some amazing views from the front of the habitat, and yeah, I couldn't be happier with the habitat that I've built for them. This one's a bit weird because the deer puts its head into a rock, but I like it nonetheless. So thank you very much for watching, my friends. I will leave you with the rest of the cinematic, plural, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay kind, find me on Instagram, and bye-bye for now.